Alright guys, today is the day. I'm super excited and I'm ready to cause some controversy. I'm excited to drive it. I'm excited to start working on it and start helping to develop parts for it and get a lot of feedback from you guys as to what you want for the vehicle. Because let's be honest, I know a lot of you may not like it right now, but I think it's going to grow on a lot of people. As of right now, the only thing that I don't like about it is the back bumper. I'm honestly okay with the fender flares. They really don't bug me that much, and I know there's going to be a lot of options out there in the near future that will replace them with carbon or paint match. There's going to be all kinds of different options out there. So I'm on my way now. We have about a 2-hour trip up to pick it up. So basically, we had some really close local dealerships offering the car to us way overpriced. Like, I'm talking almost $50,000. There was like $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 worth of markups on the vehicle, and it just wasn't happening. So now we're driving 2 hours north to go pick it up, and it'll be a fun trip. So before we get too far into the video, I did want to let you guys know I'm driving the vehicle home. I do get to drive the vehicle, work on it, help develop parts for it, but it's not actually my vehicle. It's not going to be replacing this WRX. I'm not the owner of it. We are buying it as a shop car for my work at Import Image Racing. We're going to be buying it to do, installs on it, media on it, parts development. So I'm really excited to see what all transfers over from this current generation WRX to the new one, and the stuff that doesn't transfer over, where can we improve? I want to buy one. I do want one. I just can't afford it right this minute. And so I'm hoping one of two things: either I can find my own here sometime in the future and buy one, maybe find a used one when the prices go a little bit lower, or maybe at some point I'll be able to buy the one we're picking up today after we're done messing with it.
Cody, do you see the amount of tire shine they used? Holy shit! More tire shine than I use shine on my head.
I think the tires are definitely shine. Oh my
God damn!
That's like, they use like two.
That's wet, bro.
That's wet.
Look, it's sanitized. My protection.
It's got custom valve stems.
Do you see them valve stems? These are like upgrades. They probably charged me $100 for those, maybe 200.
Ooh, nitrogen filled Dunlops.
It does feel a lot like the BRZ, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. Okay, it's yours now. Straight off the Honda Civic. I mean, what is this? Look at that.
That's your bench, so you can sit on that while you're like out at the.
It's hollow.
You're out at the tailgating parties. You can sit on that. All right, so we got the keys. There she be. Oh man, getting the interior, you got the massive touch screen. I think the base model is like split. It has a screen up top and a screen below, and it looks really funny. So I'm glad that we got this one. The only thing I don't really like about this thing is the fake carbon fiber. So when I had the Crosstrek, I had a little bit of fake carbon fiber in there, and I didn't really like it. So I definitely don't like it on this. And this is more like silver, like it blends in with the door trim. But again, that's all going to be, I'm sure, replaced with carbon and all kinds of stuff here soon anyway. Shifter feels like a typical WRX, very long throws from factory. Doesn't feel very precise. Has quite a bit of wiggle wobble. But it's a WRX shifter after all. I'm not sure if this will utilize the same shifter stop, if that could be replaced, or maybe even if, you know, once we get some short shifters and stuff like that in here, it'll be a lot better. Interesting thing to note though, on the last gen WRX and the new gen BRZ, the 2022 BRZ, this right here is actually located back here in the center console. And I actually like that, and in this one they moved it back to the front where it's kind of visible, and like if you plug something in, the cord's going to be hanging out all over the place. So that's kind of disappointing, and it looks like they may have even, no, I think this is probably about the same size, might be a little bigger. It almost looks like maybe they wanted to put a center diff control there or something, but nope. There's a lot of blank buttons over here. I'm sure there might be one for like, I'm not sure. I don't know why they incorporate all these. Maybe like overseas models, there might be like one for the rear fog light, you know, different ones that we don't use over here. The vents feel pretty good. I actually like that. Of course, we have our steering wheel. I don't like the new steering wheel. I will be the first to say it. The one on the last gen WRX was much better just because of the shape of the horn. I don't like the big round shape. Like this looks like the Crosstrek steering wheel, and I'm not a big fan of that. And again, it's the typical Subaru leather that it's going to peel after a while. It's going to get really shiny, and then it'll start peeling off the wheel. But I'm curious to drive this thing, see how it compares. I'm going to move the wheel a little bit. I mean, it feels really comfortable, though. These new seats are 10 times better than the old ones. The bolstering is a lot more aggressive, which I think a lot of people didn't like, that the stock seats, or even the Recaros and the STI, were exactly the same as the stock seats in the WRX, where there's pretty much no bolstering on it. They made it look like they were bolstered, but they weren't. So these, I mean, I'm a skinnier guy and I have some room to slide, but it still catches me at the end of the day. So that'll be fun. Send it through some corners, see how it holds up. This is interesting here. Not sure what's up with that. I like that even though they did this massive screen, they still kept the volume knob. I think that's very important, because it gets, like, if you got to sit here and like tap a button a bunch of times to turn the volume up and down, it's really annoying. So this is all climate control stuff on the screen itself, which is interesting. Oh, we got heated seats. That's pretty cool. I gotta be honest, that's actually kind of a, I don't know that I like this. I already missed the knobs. Okay. So I've just always been one that likes like just grabbing a knob and turning it. And so one of the reasons I don't like newer Teslas, for example, is like that everything is on the screen and you don't have any buttons anymore. And this being like a sports car, like a rally-inspired performance car, you would think that they would have actual buttons and knobs. But either way, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Check out the center display here. A similar interface to what we already have in our current generation WRXs and STIs. I am a little disappointed that they didn't utilize the entire space or just do a full digital dash. I mean, it still looks good. It's a little outdated, but that's Subaru. It usually takes them a little while to catch up to the competition. Now here's the thing we really need to talk about. And this is the reason why you guys should be excited for this car. This is the new FA24 2.4 liter boxer engine that comes from the Ascent. And for those of you who don't know, it's a really potent engine. This thing can hold a lot more power than the FA20 did. So the FA20 was Subaru's test engine on this new platform, and then they put this in the Ascent, and it's obviously built for more than what they advertise it for. So in the FA24, it has a smoother cylinder head with a more direct path, so you're going to get more power there. You get a smoother flow. It has thicker cylinder walls, It has more cylinder support that is molded into the casting of the block. It has beefier connecting rods, and when I say beefier, I'm talking almost 2 times thicker than the ones that were in the FA20. It has beehive-shaped valve springs, which are going to eliminate valve float. So this thing has a lot more things that sets it apart from the FA20 that's going to make it able to hold more power. And I'm very confident in this motor because the FA20 has done so well already. I know a lot of people that have been making some really decent power with the FA20 for a long time, and the only weak link seems to be the transmission. So the FA24, there's actually, I believe Prime Motoring is up over 550 wheel horsepower on their FA20 stock block, and they've done like over 50 dyno runs on that car, and it's still holding up. Looking in the engine bay though, you're gonna recognize it immediately. It looks very similar. The intake manifold looks a little bit different. It's not perfectly even. The throttle body is obviously different. We got a different intercooler. We got a couple new sensors in here. I'm not exactly sure what they're all for yet. The intake is set up pretty much the same. I'm sure it's gonna, you know, the old gen intakes probably won't fit because this looks like a different intake duct. But we do have a secondary fuse box over here, which is new. Something that I realized that's kind of weird is the AC lines look a lot different in this car. The AC compressor lines, like it comes off and it goes to this giant thing, and yeah, there's actually a sensor on the AC line, and now, I don't know, the AC lines are ran a little bit differently. There's a couple different things about this, but overall it's laid out pretty much the same. The ECU is actually moved. On the last generation, the ECU sat over here, and now it's sitting over here. It looks to be about the same size. Same kind of connectors on it and everything. It actually looks like it might take the same pitch stop from the previous generation. It looks a little bit more reinforced than the old one did. I'm curious though, the intercooler, the stock intercooler, I'm actually curious to see what the stock intercooler can do. But this looks a lot like the stock intercooler that would be on the EJ25 STI, so that's interesting to see. Very strange piping coming from the intercooler into the charge pipe. I'm kind of excited to take this thing apart and dissect it a little bit. Oh, and I am here to tell you guys that these fenders are definitely going to be replaced. They are not molded into the paintwork. They are not, you know, even like bolted in. So this is literally some 3M tape and a couple pop clips, and this cladding will come off. So literally at some point you're going to be able to probably take a heat gun, warm these up a little bit, pop them off the vehicle, and replace them with a paint matched one, or a carbon fiber one, or a gloss black one that doesn't have the texture. The bumper might be a different story. We'll have to see after we take the bumper off. But as far as the fender and the quarter panel goes, it's literally just pop clips and 3M tape. So the cold start on this thing's even more wild than the last one. Like when you fire this thing up and you have the windows up, it literally sounds like there's a subwoofer just hitting a constant bass tone like the entire time. Alright guys, well, we got the car. It is starting to rain a little bit, so hopefully we get out of here before it starts pouring. So right away this thing feels very familiar. It feels a lot like the previous generation as far as the clutch goes. You know, the clutch has the exact same feel. The shifter really has the same feel. The steering is nice and responsive, feels a lot like the previous generation. There's a new Supra. I thought that was Jay Leno for half a second. Yeah, so this feels the same, it sounds the same, looks a lot different. So of course we found ourselves in the middle of a rainstorm on the highway on the way back. I have the GoPro on my head and I'm gonna get some POV driving shots that I'll post in a separate video. That way you don't have to watch it if you don't want to. I probably look like a goofball right now, but I am noticing that the power band feels a little bit more linear than the last WRX, which they did say that they were going to improve upon, and so it definitely feels improved, and the car seems like it pulls pretty consistently. It doesn't have like that weird, you know, torque spike right in the middle of the RPM band like the previous generation did. I still have an hour and 45 minutes left of the trip, so hopefully once we get off the highway I can hit some turns and see how the handling feels, and then I can give you guys a better, you know, more accurate opinion on it. So one thing I don't understand is when I bought my new WRX, and I've had new cars before, they never, like, you get the new car smell, but I've never smelled like a hot or burning smell. And when we got the 22 BRZ and I picked that up and we got this car, both of them have like a hot, like burning smell. Now the BRZ we've had for 5 months and it only has 123 miles on it, and it still has that smell every time we drive it. So I'm hoping that this drive home will get rid of that smell in this car. One thing I did notice is the sound quality in the radio is definitely improved. I just wanted to note on that while I was sitting in traffic. Well guys, we picked up the brand new 2022 WRX today, and I must say, being a WRX owner for the last couple years, it really feels nice. The sound system is improved, the handling is improved, the comfort is improved, the power band is improved. Really the only thing that I don't like about this car is the back bumper, and I see that being fixed eventually at some point. Either OEM will update, give the car a facelift, or the aftermarket's going to come through and really improve, on these things. But either way, whatever happens first, I think that back bumper, just a big massive plastic on the back, is a little too much, and I wish, we'll find a way to alleviate that. I'm honestly not that bad on the flares. The flares can be removed and replaced with gloss black, paint match, carbon, and that's all eventually going to be available. And so, I mean, straight out of the factory, the flares really aren't that bad. I think they look pretty good. I was skeptical about them at first, but I think it gives the car a nice aggressive stance. It actually makes it stand out around most other vehicles in its class. Don't have that kind of styling. Most of the other vehicles in its class are all sleek and subtle, and they went for a more bold, aggressive look and a more off-roady tone, and I can agree with what they did. The back bumper is the only thing I can't agree on, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. The Civic taillights, they're okay for me. I don't think they're terrible, but I don't think they're great either. Overall, it feels great. It really does. I don't want to be that guy. I did not buy this car. This is not my car. I don't own this car at all. But I'm telling you right now, I will buy one. I really like the car. I like the way it drives. I'm really excited to see what kind of power this thing can make when given the proper modifications. And I really think this thing right here, mark my words right now, this thing right here is going to give all the FA20 WRXs a complete run for the money. So when people start modifying these and start adding power to these, all of us FA20 guys are going to be, we're going to be gone. We're done. Like, we're outdated. They're going to be flying past us like we're sitting still, because that thing has really good potential. Now, the map itself, when you're driving the car, the map itself doesn't feel that much more aggressive. Subaru still kept it conservative. So the last generation WRX had a really bad boost spike right in the middle of the RPM band, and it felt really weird and no one liked it because you got all this power and then it just died off. This thing doesn't have that problem. It comes on, it stays consistent, it holds through the power band, and that thing only hit a maximum of freaking 12.5 pounds of boost the entire time I was driving it. So if I had to rate the car on performance out of the factory, I would give it like a 6 out of 10. It's still pretty far behind. It's not that fast. It doesn't feel exhilarating by any means, but I know that there's a market for the tuning on this car, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really curious to see what the tuning capabilities can be for this car. At the end of the day, guys, I really think it comes down to how you feel about its appearance, because we know this is a nice car, and the only weak link in this car right now is the transmission, and that's been a problem with Subarus for a long time, and you just buy them and deal with it. If you like the Subarus, you just buy them and deal with the bad transmission, or you get an STI. And even the STIs had problems with the transmission. Fourth gear grinds. My STI swap has an issue with fourth gear, and they're just, transmission, or Subaru transmissions have always just, the STI transmission can handle a lot of power, but it still has its quirks. But at the end of the day, if you can get over the styling of this car, which, by the way, I would probably give this car a 7.5 out of 10 on the styling. I really like it. It's aggressive, and I think once people start modifying these, I'll probably give it more to like an 8 out of 10. I really think it's a good-looking car, minus the back bumper. It's really grown on me a lot, and I think it's growing on a lot of people. The interior of the car, I'd give it like a 5 out of 10. I'm not crazy on the big screen. I thought I kind of liked it at first, but I'll be honest with you guys, after I started tinkering with the center infotainment screen, it's a little quirky. I don't like it. I'd rather have buttons, so I'm not going to rate the interior as high, but the materials don't feel great. They don't really look great, but it's comfortable. Everything's at a decent access point, so I'll give it like a 5 out of 10. But overall, this car really it's a decent car. I really don't have any issues with it. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy this car, and I can't wait to start seeing you guys modify them. Well guys, I appreciate you checking out the video. If I could just ask you for 2 quick favors. Number 1, please consider subscribing. You're going to see more of this car on the channel. You're going to see my personal WRX on the channel. And if you guys are completely new, you know, you could go back through and check out some of my other videos on my personal WRX as well. And number 2, leave me some comments. Leave me some feedback. What do you think of the video? What do you think of the car? It really means a lot to me. I appreciate you guys' feedback. I love talking to you guys in the comments section. Anyone that's been around on my channel long enough knows that. But anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one.